this is Wanker Reviews, and today I will be doing a video on Misbehaviour. A group of feminists make a plan to bring their movement to the Miss World contest in 1970 England. The movie itself is good, although a bit boring towards the end. The acting is good, except for Sookie Waterhouse. She was by far the worst one and only got this role because of previous fame. She had a terrible American accent, and her acting was just god-awful. The movie overall felt anticlimactic. Things were just happening and had no real punch. The movie builds up the riot at the pageant, but the actual riot at the pageant lasted all but 1 minute. It all led to something that had no feeling. It was a fleeting moment in the movie, even though the movie was based around it. But moving on, this is about white feminists fighting for white women problems, and I had no problem with this because it's realistic. The pageants aren't that big of a deal. It just proves how good white women really had it. If they're outraged at people staring at butts on stage, that was supposed to be a pivotal moment in the movie. You were supposed to be utterly outraged at women on stage turning around and being judged on how good their butt looked. But the whole time I was thinking, this is ridiculous. This is not a big deal. These women are choosing to be on stage. I assumed this movie would deal more with sexual harassment, and it does show bits of harassment here and there. There is one scene where the women were being measured, and the woman doing the measurements was fondling them, and that scene made me very uncomfortable. There's also a lot of sexist talk where men are constantly objectifying women behind their backs or on TV. The movie does a good job at pointing out why men get to look like slobs while women have to look perfect in order to make it. But to be honest, this all seems like first world problems. These women choose to do this. Even today, there are still pageants, even though women have more opportunity to be anything they want. This just shows that there is a market for this. This is not oppression. The film mentions how women couldn't open up bank accounts without their husband's approval, or how they can get discriminated against when applying for college. I wish it had focused more on that, or more on sexual harassment, not just objectification. It is a beauty contest, so of course you're going to be judged on how good you look. That's not oppression, that's a choice. I also like the subtle race-related issues. This is mainly a white feminism movie, but when confronted with a black female character, the black woman will let them know that there are people who have it so much worse than them. There are people dying or living in poverty or being ripped from their families or are dealing with apartheid while these white women are complaining about a fucking pageant and live in the suburbs. I wish it had touched more on that instead of glossing over it. Although I'm glad they didn't, because again, it highlights that these white feminists are preoccupied with themselves. And why wouldn't they only be preoccupied with themselves? I personally don't mind, like I said before. But for the black women who claim feminism or womanism, I wish they get it through their heads. This is not your fight. You have never had a camaraderie with these people. You've only ever been included when trying to sabotage black men. I give this a 5 out of 10. I liked the first 2/3. I thought it was entertaining, a great build up. It showcased a lot of different things, a lot of different dynamics. But then I realized towards the end that this wasn't going to lead anywhere meaningful. So yeah, 5 out of 10. I'm not sure if I really recommend it. It felt very empty, and the ending where they showed the real women that the story is based on, it felt very unearned. So yeah, 5 out of 10.